yet, but that's okay. I'm trying to make it so my phone doesn't fall over. It's on a stand that's very low tech, put it that way. My phone stand is very low tech. I'm thankful for it, but my phone can fall off of it. Okay, I gotta move my laptop over so that I can chat with you all. As soon as somebody comes in, we will start talking. So far, nobody's here, and that's okay. Let's see what my computer says. There we go. I just want to make sure I'm on my laptop. So my laptop is down there, and I'm just going to be in it so that I can chat. So welcome to live chat. Here we go. Welcome you all. Pardon me while I pay more attention to my laptop than I am you. Just want to get this message out. And I wanted to make sure it was spelled correctly because I don't want to blow it. Okay, so one person in here. Hello there. Welcome. I'm drinking out of one of my favorite coffee mugs this morning. That's not why we're here. We're here to talk about my drunk chicken that I had when I was a little girl. But I know it's backwards. Someday the technology will be so that we can flip the camera better, so everything's not backwards. But this is a coffee mug I got when I was in Dollywood last year. I think it was last season. I'm a terrible shopper, but I'm a good bargain shopper. And this was on the clearance. I think they were normally, yeah, I want to say $17.99. I could show you how big it is, but it's full of coffee. But they're normally $17.99, and I believe it was more than 50% off. So I was surprised. Hey, 6 people in here. Good to see you all. So they were, in my opinion, very cheap. So I bought 3. I got this black one, a white one, and a red one. And they're all the same. They've got this wonderful bamboo base on them. Now, I couldn't understand why they were on clearance because I think they were only $7.99 on clearance, right? That was a good deal. So I bought 3. Good morning, Francisco and Calvin. The base was not glued on well. So after using it a couple times, the base actually fell off, which was an easy fix with, there's a glue I use, and it's like 6,000, something 6,000, and it glued it right on there. $5.15, Calvin. Dude. Thank you, favor or favor. Hey, Blob. Australia. Very cool. I have never been to Australia. My husband has been to Australia. He rode a motorcycle on the Gold Coast for, gosh, I think he was there for a couple of weeks, maybe. Menos dias. Hello, Nicolas. 10:15 on a Monday where you are in Australia. It's really? We're only a couple hours different? Oh, PM. I'm sorry. I didn't see the PM. That makes a lot of sense. Dang. All right. So I was going to talk about my drunk chicken as soon as everybody got in here. So hi, guys. We'll start talking about my drunk chicken. We're done talking about my coffee mug. Although I do want to let you know, sometimes you get a bargain and it's not so great. But all I had to do was put the glue on this thing and it's perfect now. It's absolutely perfect. The only problem I've had with it is one time I spilled on the outside of it, so I rinsed it in the sink. And then this little moat here collected water. So every time I took a sip of coffee, I poured water down the front of my shirt. And my daughter said, "What's going on with your shirt?" I mean, every time I took a sip, because there was a lot of water in here. So I did need to put a paper towel in there and soak up that water. But I was sitting in my seat. I was already comfortable. And so I just kind of went, whatever. My shirt's already wet, so I'm cool with it getting wetter. Canary Islands. Buenas tardes. 1317. Okay. Hey, Fran. Or Fran. The bamboo, yes, Blobs. The bamboo actually, it got a little mildewy is what happened because it sat next to the sink for a long, long time before I was able to glue it because I couldn't find my glue because my house is a little bit upside down sometimes. And so yes, it got a little bit of mildew on it. I need to scrub it with probably some toothpaste and get that gone. I'm drinking coffee, Karan, and it has Truvia sweetener in it because I don't like sugar. The sugar in my coffee, I don't like the taste of sugar in my coffee. And I have whole milk. Do you have any idea? Name is given. I have no idea what you're talking about, Miracle Hub. My parents named me. So there you go. All right, so drunk chicken. Are you guys ready for the drunk chicken story? Here we go. Let me put it in the chat. Oh, my typographical error already. Mr. G, I don't know that I've ever had pot noodles. I can't eat gluten, so I probably haven't ever eaten them. Volvo 240. Hey, Debbie. All right, my drunk chicken. I was a child. I think, from 10 to 12 years old. We lived in an apartment. My dad had gotten a house for $1. Pardon the road noise. I do live on a state highway. The speed limit is 25 miles per hour. I don't know what that is in your language or wherever you are. Are you called Maggie Bird? Never been called Maggie Bird. Let me stop my computer. It's doing something weird. I guess it's done. Okay, anyway. So from 10 to 12, we lived in an apartment and we had 2 leghorn chickens, or leghorn, depending on where you're from. Hey, from Saudi Arabia. Hello, good to see you. Thank you for being here. Everybody, it's awesome. And I go by Lisa, Jed, I go by Lisa. And we had these 2 pet chickens. Now there's another live that I talked about my chickens, and I alluded to the fact that one of them was a drunk, but I did not ever elaborate on that. So I want to elaborate on that right now. So she was a leghorn, which means she's a white chicken. They are used to lay eggs. That's what they do for their whole life. And then when they're done laying eggs, they become Campbell's chicken soup or somebody's enchiladas. I don't know. Billie Eilish's mom. I'll have to look up Billie Eilish. I don't know what she looks like. Let's see. So we had 2 chickens at the time. One of them decided she liked the taste of wine. I don't know if she liked beer. I can't remember if she drank beer. But my parents were both alcoholics. They were just beginning their journey into alcoholism at this point. There was a lot of trauma in the family. My brother had been hit by a car. He had a traumatic brain injury. He spent, I want to say, a couple of months in the hospital. This was back before they had a lot of rehab facilities, so he kind of rehabbed in the hospital, but he was in a coma for 28 days. I talk about my chickens during that time when he was in the coma in the other live feed. Let me see if I can see the other live on my computer. I can tell you which one it is. I probably can't. Yeah, never mind. I can't do it. Oh, there's my computer acting up. Let me just get rid of this little message it wants to send me. Okay. Anyway, so we had these 2 chickens, and one of them discovered the taste of wine was pleasant. Okay, she's just a little tiny chicken. Well, you know, she only weighed a couple of pounds. She wasn't a very big girl. Those leghorn chickens don't get real big. Thank you, Ruby. That's awesome. Hey, design nerd. OMG. OMG. So my parents would have gatherings at the apartment. We had a big field out in front of the apartment where we had a huge garden, and we grew, I mean, it was the best garden I've ever had in my whole life was in that field. It used to be a building, but they had torn down the building and it was just this big open field. And my dad owned a nursery and he had a landscape company and he knew how to amend the soil and do all the good things. And then the chickens were in the field behind it where we had, I think I had rabbits at the time and we had chickens. So I'm probably one of the few people who lived in an apartment for a couple of years who was able to have a gigantic garden and raise rabbits and chickens. It's kind of cool. My life never really changed. No matter where I lived, no matter where I live or have lived, I have always had chickens. I haven't always had rabbits, but I've always had chickens. For a brief period of time, here or there, I haven't, but most of the time I've always had at least 1 chicken for fresh eggs. So this little girl would go around during my family gatherings. Everybody's sitting in their beach chairs out in the garden area or in front of the apartment. It was only a 4-apartment building, so there were only 4 apartments. So of course my parents would invite the neighbors over. So they didn't always join us. They were all college students. We lived in a college neighborhood. And so the chicken decided that wine tasted good. So she would go around to different people. And I don't know if she preferred red wine, white wine. I don't know what she was drinking, but she was drinking wine and she was getting drunk. And it was kind of funny. I mean, I was a kid. I thought it was hilarious. I wouldn't do it today, but she did that. Well, one day she got really, really drunk, and she actually passed out on the pathway, the garden pathway through the middle of the garden, going back toward her coop. She was probably on her way back, you know, to go to bed, because chickens, when the sun goes down, chickens go to bed. That's what they do. So she wasn't high, but she was definitely drunk. And well, she might have been high, knowing my family. Anyway, so she was lying on the path, passed out. And at some point, we went out to find her. I don't know if it was me, probably me, because my parents, you know. Mom is sober now. She's been sober for 20 years. Good for her. She just got her 20-year coin. I think she got a coin not too long ago. Wow, she might be, it'll be 21 years in a little while. Oh my gosh. Anyway, so we went out to get the chicken and put her in her pen, because obviously she couldn't put herself away. She was passed out drunk. She was up on the fence. She was up. Our apartment had an 8-foot chain link fence next to it because there was a park on the other side. Really fun park. I loved hanging out over there. At the time, they had baseball. They had a baseball field. They had the old-fashioned playgrounds where kids now can't have them because they're deemed too dangerous, but we had a lot of fun at that playground. The swings that go really high. They had one of those spinning things, the metal spinny thing where you stand and you hold on and your friends just push you and push you and push you and try to make you fly off into the gravel. They had one of those. And they had a really high metal slide that got to about 4,000 degrees on a sunny day. I mean, all the fun stuff that you can't have in a playground anymore, at least not in that neighborhood, not in California where everybody sues everybody just for breathing wrong. So anyway, great park. So she's on this 8-foot chain link fence, drunk off her butt, but somehow she flew up there because leghorns can fly. They're one of the few chickens that will roost in trees at night, but there were no trees for her to roost in. So she's up on the fence. I couldn't reach her. For some reason, nobody wanted to go get her. None of the adults were being adults at the time. So we just left her there overnight. In the morning, she was gone. I mean, like gone. So gone. She did not make it home that night. We looked around. My brother and I went over to the park. There were oleander bushes along the fence line. So we looked in the oleanders. We couldn't find her. Couldn't find any signs of her. No feathers. You know, they'll leave white feathers. Like if a raccoon had grabbed her, there would have been a trail of white feathers where it got dragged off. Nothing. Didn't see her. Kind of put the word out around town, hey, we're missing our chicken. So her sister was alone. Felt bad for her sister. Chickens like to be with other chickens. It makes them feel safer because they are a prey animal. And so the more you have around you, the more likely it is that someone else will get taken out by the raccoons or the fox, and maybe you'll survive. So they do like to be surrounded by other birds. 6 months went by. Finally, somebody in town heard about a lady who lived on the other side of the park. It went our apartment, the park, the parking lot, and then this lady's house. And she raised ducks. This is in the city. It was the 1970s. So, you know, she raised ducks. So, of course she did, right? She had a huge pond in her front yard. It was just dirt and mud. And her yard was all fenced. She had a short little white picket fence around her yard. And she had a half a gazillion ducks in her yard. And one day, a white chicken showed up. All her ducks were white. They were Pekins. And the chickens stayed and just decided to live with the ducks for 6 months. And finally, somebody in the family said, hey, I've got a friend who was talking about this duck that showed up. I'm just checking my messages to see if there's anybody I need to put on timeout. I hate putting people on timeout, but sometimes it happens. Okay, cool. Nobody in here being jerks. So we went over and I knocked on the door. I think my mom drove me over. Hi, I think you have our chicken. She's like, yep, she's right there. So I went and got her. Oh my gosh. You talk about waking up after a bender. That's what we call it here in the United States when you go on a drinking binge and you find yourself in a place. Some people call it a Coyote Ugly place. And you end up, thank you to the 7 who have given me a thumbs up. I appreciate that. There's 30 people in here. That's awesome. This channel, Ultimate Fighter, is generally about farm and ranch stories, gardening. I do a little bit of foraging and drag racing, mostly motorcycle drags. I just did a whole series on junior dragsters, but it's mostly motorcycle drag racing. Today's Monday. On Saturday, I was at Wilkesboro, North Carolina. Unfortunately, the drag races were canceled. That was motorcycle drags due to rain that would not stop. Would not stop. As soon as it stopped, it started again. It was so sad. They tried to dry that track. But today we're talking about my drunk chicken. So she came home that day. She was no longer living with the ducks. Her sister got her back. That was awesome. I'm sure they were happy to see each other. Now these chickens, a lot of times they just wandered around in the garden during the day, and so they had a really good life, but they did have to go in their cage at night to protect them from raccoons, possums. We didn't have coyotes in town, at least not there. And I don't know if we had foxes. We could have had foxes because there was a creek real close to our house. But mostly it would have been raccoons and possums that would have wanted to get them. Maybe a skunk. We did have skunks in town. So anyway, that's the story of my drunk chicken. Goodness gracious. Let's see what we have here. Now I can get to chatting about other things. Thank you, Ultimate Fighter. Yeah, she was a sweet girl. I honestly don't remember what happened to those chickens. We moved into, see, my dad got that house for $1. That's why we were living in the apartment. Back in the 70s, my dad, well, I shouldn't say just in the 70s, my dad kind of took charge of all of the family finances, and he made all of the financial decisions for the family, which was best. My dad it was best that he did that. So he decided to sell the house we had been living in since I was a baby, and I was 10 years old, and we moved into an apartment. And he had purchased a house for $1. They were going to tear it down. It was a historical house in town. It had been built in either 1907 or 1909. And the reason I don't know when it happened is because when they were doing the remodel job, they took the lath and plaster off in the living room, and above the front door, on the header above the door, in probably grease pencil, someone had written 1900, and it was hard to tell if it was a 7 or a 9. And all of the property records had burned down. Oh no, they didn't burn down after that. Maybe we could have looked it up. They burned down in the 1860s. Because we don't know when my family moved to town and opened their business, because all of the business records had burned down when the courthouse burned down in the 1860s. Anyway, hey Kushal, I doubt that I would say probably 90% of the people who come to my channel, Kushal, are men. So, and most of them are older. If there are women in here, they're generally older women. So I don't think you're going to find a bride in here, sweetie. There are other channels that do more young stuff. You might want to go there looking for a bride, most likely. I was born in the early 1960s. So anyway, Dad got that house for $1 because they were putting in a new bank. And he went by and he saw that there was construction going on, and he asked them, what are you going to do with the old house? I forget what the name of the house was. I think it was the Warnicki house. That was the name of the family. He says, what are you doing with the Warnicki house? And they said, oh, we're going to tear it down. And he said, oh, can I buy it? And the guy said, yeah, for $1. So he bought it for $1, and then he had to find a lot to put it on. So he bought a lot. I think he paid $15,000 for the lot. And then he had to move the house. And there's a whole bunch of drama about moving a house. He had to go over a hill and down a hill and around a corner. And oh my goodness, it must have been such a spectacle in our little town. I don't know if that very many houses had been moved in that town. But there was a business, and they did move houses, and that's what they did. So for $1, he got a house, and he moved it onto a lot. Time out them. Who's here that's being rude? Good golly, where has my chat gone? Has my chat gone south on me, you guys? Let me see. Never worked out live before. This is intrigued about drunk chicken. Yeah, Calvin, nice to see you again. Yeah, chicken's like wine. I don't know if she drank beer. Like I said earlier, I'm not sure if she was a beer drinker. I don't see anybody that deserves time out, you guys. Kushal wants to marry me. No, I'm too old, sweet. I've already got a husband. And yeah, that ship has sailed. We're done. We're done with that. Okay, what do we have? Yeah, I can't tell what's going on in my chat. Have I lost it? RuPaul's Drag Race? No, Blobs. I don't do drag races. I mean, I do drag races, but with motorcycles, not men in heels and dresses. Because you know what? And wigs and makeup. I get jealous. These men run in high heels. I mean, if it was like a drag race with RuPaul's drag people running in high heels, I'd be jealous because I can barely walk in high heels, let alone run. So no, I'm not going to those drag races. They are humiliating to me because I find it hard to walk in a dress with low heels. But of course, if it was a RuPaul drag race, they'd be running in high heels and they'd be doing it well. They'd be doing a really good job. How many years married? 20 plus years. Okay, where are we in the chat? You know, Blobs, I don't know if they taste better when they've been drinking alcohol. It's probably a lot cheaper to just marinate the meat in alcohol than to actually feed it to the chicken. I can't imagine that it tastes good. I mean, any better. I've often wondered if I fed them garlic, if it would change the flavor of the meat. But then I found out that garlic actually inhibits absorption of certain nutrients, and so you can't really give a lot of garlic to chickens. Otherwise, I would probably try to figure out how to give them a garlic pellet and then see if their meat tasted any different. I don't raise chickens right now. I have ducks. We have, what do we have? We have 15 ducks right now, and most of the girls, there are 10 girls, most of the girls are sitting on eggs, so I'm probably going to have like 40 ducks pretty soon, if they hatch them. And if, hello, Ballwinder? Yeah, Design Nerd. I do get some interesting requests, but none of them is as good as the one I got when I was in Africa. That's a story for sure. But I don't think I'll tell. Thank you to the 12 who have given me a thumbs up. I appreciate that. That helps a lot. And thanks to all of you who are interacting in the chat. It actually helps the algorithm to point people in my direction. And I know there was somebody who said, how did he end up here? Ended up here because YouTube thought, based on whatever you've watched in the past, that you might like this live stream. How do the ducks not fly? Big little man. Hey, Joel, I'm in the United States. I'm in Tennessee in the United States. I do not know Georgia O'Keeffe. I don't know who that is, Wade. Sorry. Thank you, Design Nerd. I'm glad you're here too. Let's see. Ducks do not fly. I trim their wing feathers, or I pinion them when they're a couple of days old, which is when you take off. You take off the cartilage at the end of their wing. It's before there's blood flow to the tips of their wing. It's just cartilage. It's not bone at that point. And they do squeak when it happens, and I do put a little bit of antiseptic on it to help take away, analgesic antiseptic to take away some of the pain, and then they get over it. But it takes away their ability to fly because it's basic. It's a thing that we do. And otherwise, I trim their wing feathers after they molt, and that keeps them from flying away. It's pretty funny because I raise Muscovy ducks. You can look them up. Muscovy ducks, I've ended up to some, yeah, there's a lot of weird live streams out there, aren't there? I enjoy them. I like going to J-Hip. He does a lot of, he logs into people's public live feeds, like in downtown areas. There's a bar he goes to. He's been to Dollywood. I mean, he doesn't go physically to Dollywood. He goes to their live stream and watches it. And so the whole chat just watches the live stream. There's one where it's in a downtown Skid Row neighborhood, And one time I was watching it, and there was a drunk guy sleeping on some steps, and he just rolled off the steps and rolled down, like, I don't know, 2 or 3 steps. So I do go watch J-Hip occasionally. Oh, what other live streams do I like to watch? I watch What the Hales. They have a Sunday live stream I watch. And I watch Megan Fox, not Megan Fox the actress, Megan Fox the journalist. I watch her and that umbrella guy, Tug. They do a lot of all Megan Fox and that umbrella guy. The only thing they do really is they read court filings. So if you've gone to court and done a filing, they will read the filings, and they go through it in a comedic way. And right now they're basically just doing stuff that's What the Hales, although they just jumped into some Laura Owens. At least Megan did. I don't know if Tug did, but she's doing Laura Owens stuff, which is crazy. If you guys haven't looked up Laura Owens, holy cow. She pretended to be pregnant with twins to get a guy to pay her child support. She was never pregnant. She had fake sonograms. They had never actually done the deed. He knew they never did the deed, but she sued him for child support for twins that didn't exist. And she's done it to, now, this is my understanding, is that she has actually sued or conned multiple men with the same con, that I'm pregnant with your child, give me whatever. She's Laura Owens. She's nuts. You like Megan Fox too? No, not that Megan Fox, Sudhak. Good grief, no. She is a psycho, big little man. I'm sorry, I shouldn't say that. She does appear to be a psycho. She appears to be quite unhinged. Laura Owens. And you can look her up on Megan Fox Journalist, or I forget, but it's Megan Fox, and she's on YouTube. She does multiple lives. Sometimes she'll do 2 or 3 in a day. It just depends on what's going on. I believe that she and Tug really, really were into the Johnny Depp trial. So they may, I didn't follow them back when they were doing Johnny Depp. They may have actually been doing, instead of the court documents, they may have actually been doing the court case, because there were cameras in the courtrooms. They might have done that. Let's see. Yeah, the kids were his. Yeah, she said she was pregnant with twins, and they were his, and they did not do anything that would produce children. They did something. I'm not going to say it here on YouTube, because YouTube has very delicate feelings, and YouTube can get quite triggered if you say certain words. I'm not going to say it. Anyway, they did some things, but they did nothing that would produce a child. No, she's not the sister of Candace Owens. Laura Owens, you can look her up on the Google machine and look at her mugshot. She's got crazy eyes, guys. Avoid the crazy eyes, okay? Sometimes a face gives it away. Sometimes a face gives. Alan Schiff, for instance, U.S. politics. Laura Owens would probably try to convince Candace Owens' husband that he's the father of her child, even though they've never met, like never spoken. I don't know. That's just my opinion. The woman is bonkers, but she insists that that she was pregnant, and there's also some rumors. I can't say how true this is, that she's actually not able to conceive a child because she doesn't have the right equipment. Like maybe she's missing something that would be important for carrying a child. Can't confirm that. I only heard a rumor, haven't seen anything. Okay, so Boost, you're going on timeout because we don't talk like that on here. If I can get this to happen, let's see. I'll just put you on, let's see, what it says 5 minutes. I think I'll go to 10 minutes. It automatically says 5 minutes, but I think Boost needed to go away. Okay, Boost is gone. Bye-bye. Come back later. I've got probably half a dozen people muted. They constantly comment on my videos, but nobody can see their comments except them, which is hilarious. They don't even know they're muted. but they leave comments on my videos. I don't know, man. They might be in here right now. I have no idea. They're muted, which is hilarious. Hi, Mira. Charlie Chaplin. Oh my goodness. Charlie Chaplin was a creep, though, you know? I mean, that guy was awful. He was a horrible person. That's weird that, because back then they went by blood tests, because that was all they had was, you know, if your blood type was this and his blood type was that, and the two came together, what could the children be? That's pretty wild that the kid could not be theirs. My first husband was O negative. I'm O negative, so our children are O negative. It's just the way it is. You can't have any other blood type than O negative when both parents are carrying the recessive O negative gene. Because I've got a double O negative, he's got a double O negative. So both of our girls are double O negatives, and we're all very popular at the blood bank, let me tell you. He was weird. Yes, Blobs. One of his brides was shamefully young when he married her. And I don't even know if the marriage was legal. I think it was, but I think he had to take her to another country to get married. And it was quite a scandal. And by the time she was old enough to have made those type of decisions, he had already lost interest in her because she was too old. Once girls get to a certain age, they start having opinions and, you know, they express their likes and dislikes. And, you know, that's so boring. He'd rather have a 13 or 14-year-old girl who he could impress. That guy was creepy. Yeah, they were, Big Little Man. They were very underage, and I want to say back then, but even now, parents will throw their children at famous men. It's just disgusting. I didn't know he was a Hitler fan either. Suda, I think Laura Owens is way too old for Charlie Chaplin. Maybe in her younger days when she was, 14, 15. But even back then, it was quite a scandal for such an old man. I think he was in his 30s when he married the girl that was so young. And it was a crime. And he could have been in big, big trouble if he hadn't married her. It's kind of the same thing Elvis did with Priscilla. How old was she when her parents threw her at him? 14 or 15? And then they signed over legal guardianship to Elvis so she could come to the United States and live with him as a minor. Elvis, whoa, that guy had some issues. Yeah. Big Little Man, I'm glad to hear he wasn't a fan of Hitler. Hitler was a horrible person. Oh, that might be interesting, Blobs. Maybe Hitler did copy Charlie Chaplin. Was Charlie Chaplin's mustache real? Do you guys know? Or was it just pasted on his face? Because I don't know. I do sound young, don't I? Unless I'm having an asthma fit, then I sound like Kathleen Turner. Which Kathleen Turner had a very sexy voice back in the day. If you know, you know. Oh, okay. It was colored on? Yeah, okay, Cesar, thank you. Yeah, it kind of did look like it was fake. I used to work with a guy just a few years ago that looked so much like Charlie Chaplin. I told him, I said, you could probably get a job at like corporate events. They hire Hollywood star lookalikes. I said, you should study Charlie Chaplin. I said, you look like him. Now, this guy was a psycho, but he looked like Charlie Chaplin. And I don't mean, he actually had a lot of mental damage from his childhood to where he could not have affection for people. So he was just moving through life, pretending to be a real human being with feelings. The guy that I worked with, that I knew, I felt bad for him, but he had been so damaged in childhood that he had no feelings. So he was kind of, he was dented for sure, but he could be a Charlie Chaplin for sure. I told him, I said, you got to do it. Hey, John, I don't know you very well, John. I would love to have a mod, but I don't know you. If you believe, Big Little Man, you can be anything you want to be. My dad used to tell me, that was BS. My dad was he was very much a straight shooter. You can't be anything you want to be, he would tell me. You can't. It's just a fact. I mean, like, I was a bodybuilder when I was younger, and I couldn't compete because I wouldn't do steroids. And back then, in the early 1980s, there was a bodybuilder named Rachel McClish, and she was the only one in competition who did not do steroids. And I wanted to be like Rachel McClish, but it would be impossible in my area. Hey girl, my granddaughter just woke up. It would be impossible where I lived, make sure you're off camera, for me to compete. So I never really pushed it too hard, and I understood my restrictions. Also, when I went to join the military, of course, I wanted to be something important, right? Even though I had no training. And they wouldn't let me because I was a woman. There were certain things I couldn't do. And that was okay. And because my dad had already raised me knowing you can't be anything you want to be. You can't do anything you want to do. You have to have the right training, the right education. You have to have the right physical abilities. There were things I could not do. I couldn't compete against the men in weightlifting, obviously. I could compete against them in hard work and dedication. And I was dedicated. I worked out every morning from 4:30 till 7:30. And the gym opened at 7:30, but there were 8 of us that would go in the morning and work out every morning from 4:30 to 7:30. Yes, 3 hours. Sorry, 3 hours. And then every night I would go to the Elks Club and I would swim. My minimum was an 1/8 of a mile, and sometimes I pushed myself to try to swim a 1/4 mile. I don't know if I ever swam a 1/4 mile. But that was my goal, at least an 1/8 of a mile swim every night that the Elks Club was open, and I can't remember. So I did take weekends off. I worked out Monday through Friday. I would do upper body every other day, lower body every other day, and I did my core, but I hated doing crunches. I hated sit-ups. I hate working out my core. So I never really did develop good stomach muscles. I mean, like, they never really stood out. But I wouldn't have been able to compete. There's my asthma. Welcome to my world. So, yeah, dad raised me. I mean, he didn't teach me how to hunt. I took hunter safety at school. We had a teacher that taught hunter safety after school, and it was a club, I guess. And we would go to our middle school. I think he was our social science teacher, and he taught hunter safety. And then we went to his ranch for the gun part of it, where we would shoot the guns. But Dad taught me how to fish. He taught me foraging. He taught me basic survival skills. So if I ever got in a situation where I was lost or injured, and I climbed all over the mountain right next to our house, I rode my horse way off into the distance. And there were definitely occasions where I could have been in a situation where I would have needed some of the stuff my dad taught me. I'm not a vegan chicken McNugget or chicken nuggets. I definitely eat meat. I am a big time fan of meat. Stranger danger. Where's the stranger? Are you like a Russian spy or something? I'm old, Victoria. I'm old, sweetie. I have a granddaughter who is driving. You gonna drive today, girl?
What are you doing?
I'm on a live feed on YouTube with my Dollywood mug that I love. My coffee is cold now. No, Sidhu, he did not teach me that, but I did. I had a friend, and she and I would fight. So we did probably pretty close to cage fighting without the cage. Like, we would go out on the front lawn and we would just fight. We didn't have a TV. My dad didn't allow television. Well, we had a TV, but it was not allowed to be turned on. My mom and I watched one TV show a week. I think it was Thursday night. We watched The Rockford Files. First, we would drive to Taco Bell and get a burrito, and then we would come home, go down into the basement of the house my dad bought, because when he bought it, it was a single story, but he had a whole basement dug under it, so it was a big house. And so we'd go down into the basement and watch Rockford Files once a week, but we weren't allowed to watch TV other than that. So we were bored. So we'd go out, and we did not, there was no face or head hits, but it was, the body from like the neck down was okay. So yeah, I grew up fighting, not what you said. Let's see. My dad was not really strict. No, he wasn't strict. Okay, 3, you can go away. And we'll just go with on timeout. Put it at 10 minutes because usually they get bored being on timeout and they go away. Let's see. Chicken nuggets, again, back to your comment or question about me being vegan. No, I wasn't martial artist. We just literally fought. We just fought. And it came in handy later on when I was attacked and beat the tar out of the guy. And he had to go to the emergency room before they could bring him down to the police station and book him for what he had tried to do to me and did to me. But yeah, I actually got a standing ovation as a 17-year-old girl because I kind of thought we were even, but we were at a school outing and the teacher said, no, because this happened, you have to go to the police station and file a report. So I had to go down to the police station and file the report. So I'm sitting in the police station and I probably weighed about 115 pounds. I don't know, I was pretty small. And after they took the guy to the emergency room and stitched up the cuts, and I think I might have knocked out a tooth. I don't know, whatever it was definitely Sidhu. Yes, I was in Africa. This was not in Africa. This was in California. They brought him down to the police station and he walked in and he was a good 50 pounds more than me. And when they saw him and what I had done to him, because a lot of it was on his face, it was a small police station, but they stood up and they gave me a standing ovation in the police station for the fact that I beat the crap out of this guy that had, he caught me sleeping is what happened. And so it took me a little bit. And anyway, yeah. So that fighting with my girlfriend came in handy. Cheers. Cheers to my boxing partner. I tried to take a martial arts class, but they put me up against a guy who refused to hit a woman. So I couldn't really do martial arts with someone who refused to hit a woman. I mean, you have to hit. But he was raised to never hit a woman, which good for him, good for his parents. But I ended up not having anyone I could spar with. So would you do me a favor and go close my bedroom door, bring the dogs out and close my bedroom door because they're going to be doing this because Grandpa's got a bunch of windows open and the neighbors are out having fun, which is against the rules apparently, according to my dogs. Thank you, sweetie. My friend is thinking about transitioning. Hi, Privateer. He wants to know if it was scary for you. Yeah, no, my only transition was from letting you be in my chat and then removing you from my chat. So good job there. Let's see, we're going to put you on timeout for 10 minutes. You need to get cats. Intruder alert, no doubt, no doubt. Never tempted to transition. I was a tomboy. I was a gigantic tomboy, big time. Let's see. You need to get cats. I've had cats. I'm allergic to cats. But when we get our barn, we will probably get a couple of barn cats. I know, big little man. I do. And John is offering to be a mod, but I don't know. Oh my gosh. James, what the heck? I'll just give you a 5-minute timeout because good grief. Okay, I'm going to have to go because honestly, my computer's about to die and I won't be able to control the chat. Oh, okay. Oh, your mommy. Good girl. Good golly. I think a lot of these rude guys are people that come in are like 12, 13. I picture them being my grandsons and they're just being little jerks. So timeout's good for them. My mommy is taking me to Disneyland. Whatever. Okay, guys, it's been fun. How long have we been here? 44 minutes. Awesome. Thank you to the 19 of you who gave me a thumbs up. I sure do appreciate it. And you know what? I'll do a live again. I generally do them when I'm home alone because of all the distractions when I'm not home alone. But I've got my granddaughter here for the next, how long are you here for, girl?
Until the 17th.
Till the 17th? Okay. So maybe she'll be in the room. We'll be having little minor conversations off screen. Yes, see y'all. Appreciate you being here. Go ahead and give me if you want to subscribe, if you want to see more weirdness. That was my drunk chicken story. I've already told in a previous live, I talked about the chickens not laying eggs, and teach me, I don't know what that means. Designer, thank you so much for being here. What are those little crowns for where you guys are talking? There's a crown and a number 3. There's a crown and a number 1. Do you guys know what that means? Hi, Dad. Your dad's in here? Hey, Seabreeze. Thanks to the 20 who gave me a thumbs up. I appreciate that. Previous life. Okay. The most chat. Oh, seriously? Oh, cool. That's awesome. I like that. Just teach me to fight. You got to do that on your own. Find someone smaller than you. No, Lynn was bigger than me. We were tough. We had some bruises from our fights, but again, no head hits. We weren't looking for any attention. Although I was in a fight once where I ended up with a pretty good black eye. That one actually dented my cheek right here. That was a wicked fight. I'm in Tennessee, Paulo. All right, guys, I've got to go. My computer's about to die, and I can't control all you hooligans when that happens. Subscribe. Give the thumbs up if you want. Come back. I will definitely be doing more of this. I try to do it. I'm just reading the chat. You guys are silly. Teach me to fight off dark forces of Satan. That is between you and the Holy Spirit, my friend. You need to get right with Jesus. All right, you guys, have a really good one. I'm going to end this, and I will see you in the next one. We'll talk more about animals, okay?